Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly in World of Tanks. Yes, it has been a long time since I did one of these videos, but you're getting one today. This is Skytor in the AMX-13F3 French Tier 6 artillery in a random battle. It's a Tier 8 match, although, well, none of that really matters, and you'll see why once this game gets started. So, here we are in your standard artillery top-down view. Skytor's moved to a position to cover his team as they advance across the river and head down the eastern flank of the map. Now note, for those of you who are not familiar with plain artillery, the green line extending from his gun barrel to his point of aim. Now when that line turns red, that's telling you, like that there's something in the way of your shot. You can't actually hit where you're aiming. And yet he should be able to hit where he's aiming. He was able to hit there a minute ago. The hell's going on? Oh wait, there we go. Yeah, he can hit there. Oh, he can hit this guy. Waits for the aim to stabilise. Wait, what's going on? Why is it telling him his shot's being blocked? What is going on here? Oh, that would explain it. There's a massive raging arsehole on his team in the Tiger P. In case it's not completely obvious what this cockholster was doing, he's parking his tank in front of his gun barrel because, let's face it, artillery players are normally in the top-down view and are not immediately aware of what is directly in front of their tank. And he was taking advantage of that in order to try to trick Skytor into shooting him and therefore turning blue for team damage so that the Tiger P could legitimately team kill him. Luckily for Skytor, he was paying attention, and he's not falling for that old gag. You'd be surprised, however, or possibly not surprised, just how many artillery players do fall for that old gag. The Tiger P player, now fully aware that he's been busted, he's got his sights set on the M40 player over there. Skytor's doing his level best to stop him, but, well, it's a Tiger P. If it wants to go somewhere, an AMX-13 isn't going to stop it. Skytor can see what's coming, and so he's attempting to warn the M40 player in chat. Watch what you're doing, this Tiger P's got his gun barrel covering your muzzle. But you'd be amazed how many artillery players just pay no attention whatsoever to what's going on around them, even when somebody's addressing them directly in chat. And so the Tiger P gets what he wanted. One artillery dead, another artillery crippled, and as far as the game's concerned, all of that friendly team damage is the fault of the dead M40 artillery player. You see, that's the problem that you're always going to have when you try to implement automated anti-arsehole features into your multiplayer games. There's always going to be a better arsehole. Next, we find ourselves on the Fjords map. This is Kajanda, or possibly Kayanda, I'm not entirely sure, in the Carnarvon. Have a look at that matchmaking for a moment. Every single tank in this battle is Tier 8. What's very surprising about this matchmaking is that nobody's complaining about it. Jingles, everybody's Tier 8. Why would somebody be complaining? Oh, you must be new here. Anyway, this one isn't about the matchmaking. Well, let's just cut to the chase, and you'll see exactly what this one is about. So, oh, that was quite amusing too. That's the enemy team's one and only light tank, the Batchat 12T. There are 18 or 19 heavy tanks, Tier 8 heavies, in this match, out of the 30 tanks in the game. And that light tank thought this was the best place to go. Well, whatever. But it's not about the Batchat 12T over there either, no. This particular match is all about that IS-3, one of the OHOs, one of the T-32s. Kajanda here in the Carnarvon is merely a witness to the events that are about to unfold. We're going to skip ahead to the point where it all starts to go horribly, horribly wrong. The heavies have done a good job on this corner, although the team are getting their arse handed to them up in the north. And so far, nobody's in any real trouble, but that's all about to change. The friendly OHO behind Kajanda has just loaded high explosive. And there it is, he fires, he hits the enemy OHO, but because it's high explosive he also does 96 splash damage to the IS-3 and immediately turns blue. Now I suspect this is probably not his first offence. But there was no deliberate team damage going on there. He was shooting at the enemy tank. It was just a little bit careless under the circumstances, but completely understandable. However, the fact that 96 damage caused him to turn blue would indicate that he is consistently careless about what happens to friendly tanks that might be nearby when he's firing his high explosive. Doesn't make him a bad person, but it does make him the kind of person that you don't want to be near when he's in a tank with a derp gun. But nobody's reacted to it. Nobody's losing their temper in chat. Nobody's cussing out the Yoho for accidentally damaging the IS-3. In fact, at this point, it's entirely possible that that IS-3 back there doesn't even realise that he took any friendly damage from the Yoho. Now, I'm just going to pause it here again, just so we can take stock of the situation. At the moment, it is 8 tanks against 5 in Kajander's team's favour. Now, Kajander's lost more than half of his health. That IS-3 has lost about half of his health. The T-32's lost more than half of his health. The Yoho, however, he's still got all of his health remaining. And he has very, very tough armour, which is probably why he still has all of his health remaining. So in a Tier 8 battle like this, it's a very useful tank to have around. As well as that, we've got 4 tanks here that all have pretty tough turrets, even the Carnarvon, and they're on the lower ground here. Now they're going to lose that ML1 up there, but is there some firing coming from behind us? But there are no enemy tanks back there. Who's shooting at who? I didn't actually catch it happening. But the IS-3 is trying to kill the Yoho. He's just put one shot into him, and then when I switch the camera back, because Kajander is trying to kill enemy tanks here, the IS-3 attempts to put another shot into him. Now the T-32 is again attempting to fight the enemy, but he's just noticed what's going on behind him as well. So the IS-3 at point blank range on the 3rd attempt manages to do some team damage to the Yoho. I mean, technically it's not team damage at this point because the Yoho's turned blue. He's not on the red team, he's not on the green team. He's on the blue team, so anybody can shoot him without penalty. But, well, wouldn't it be good to have him alive? Because, you know, enemy tanks, guys. Does anybody want to fight the enemy tanks? So the IS-3 momentarily appears to come to his senses after scoring 2 successful damaging and penetrating hits of the 4 shots that he put into the Yoho. Or has he? Now that he's dealt with the immediate threat of the enemy tank in front of him, no. And then the T-32 decides enough is enough. He puts 1 shot into the IS-3 and then he immediately turns blue as well. The IS-3 then shoots the T-32, leaving him on 8 health, and the Yoho has finally had enough and puts a shot back into the IS-3, leaving him on 8 health. This would be a really, really bad time for an enemy tank to suddenly appear, wouldn't it, guys? And oh look, an FV-4202. There goes the IS-3. So there were 3 Tier 8 heavy tanks back there, with nearly 2,900 health remaining between the 3 of them. And after friendly fire, and that FV-4202 are through with them, there are going to be 2 Tier 8 heavy tanks back there, with exactly 16 health between the 2 of them. So who's responsible for this mess? Now, you could argue, and I'm sure you are going to argue in the comments, that's what the comments section of the video is for after all, that it was the Yoho's fault. He turned blue after all. But he didn't turn blue because of anything deliberate. He accidentally, or rather carelessly, inflicted some splash damage to the IS-3. I'm not convinced the IS-3 even realised, however. I mean, he was in point-blank range combat with the enemy Yoho at the time. But while it's pretty obvious that the friendly Yoho over there is reliably and consistently careless with what happens to friendly tanks when he's spamming his high explosive, he didn't do anything deliberate. And it did in fact display a remarkable degree of self-control when the IS-3 was putting shot after shot into him. In fact, only retaliated when the IS-3 was about to kill him. But the fact remains, we did have 3 heavy tanks back there with 2,900 health between them, and now we've got 2 heavy tanks with 8 health each. And that wasn't the fault of the FV-4202. He didn't do that much damage by himself. And we still have 3 enemy tanks to kill. And Kajander's there in chat. Come on, guys, forget about it. Let's kill the enemy tanks. You know, that's what we're here for. But they're far too busy now. Now that the physical damage has been done, They're far too busy trying to score moral points off the dead IS-3 driver in chat, who's proven to be a bigger arsehole in chat than he was when he was in control of the IS-3. The 59 Patton up front doing the heavy tank job, and it doesn't help when he gets ammo racked. So now it's 4 against 3, but let's not forget that 2 of those 4 only have 8 health each. T-25 pilot here doing the best job he can. Don't forget this is the tank that saved those guys from the FV-4202. Got a lucky bounce off that Panther 2 over there. The Panther 2, realising that this guy has less than 100 health and is on lower ground, goes for the ram kill. The Oho, on 8 health, has managed to kill the enemy KV-4, but then he got taken out by that IS-3 over there. That just leaves the T-32 on 8 health, and this VK on 675 health. The VK is trying to use the lower ground to get around the flank of the IS-3 while the T-32 keeps him occupied from the front, but he's forgotten about the Panther 2, and the Panther 2 has not forgotten about him. So now the VK has to deal with the Panther 2. He doesn't have enough health to ignore him, and that means the T-32 is easy meat for the IS-3. So now it's just the VK against the IS-3 and the Panther 2. You can see that the T-32 managed to do a lot of damage to that IS-3 before he went down, which is pretty good considering he only had 8 health remaining. But remember how much health those 3 Tier 8 heavies had before they all started shooting each other up. Nearly 2,900. How useful would all of that health and those 3 tanks have been around about now? Well, the VK had his chance there to kill the IS-3 and he blew it. Instead, he went after the Panther 2, which allowed the IS-3 to put a shot into him and take no damage in return. The IS-3 now backing off. He's pulling right back out of detection range to keep the VK guessing, while the Panther 2 keeps the VK spotted and pinned into position. And, well, any second now we're going to pull the camera back slightly and you'll see a tree falling, and there it is. That basically tells us that the IS-3 is going for the high ground to work his way around the flank. And I think the VK realised it right before the IS-3 popped up again. He's pulling back. But, you know, fair credit to the IS-3 player here. He pulls off an amazing shot at the end of the game. You see the gap between those 2 houses? Yeah? Watch this. Boom! Headshot. Was a hell of a shot. But how much difference would another 3 Tier 8 heavies with 2,900 health between them have made to the outcome of that match? Well, I expect you probably need some cheering up after watching that particular disaster, so here's that KV2 replay you ordered. This is Nimbus B557, and he is in Stalin's favourite, completely balanced... Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. Everybody's favourite, completely overpowered Tier 6 heavy tank, the KV2, with the 152mm howitzer. Oh, by the way, arsehole alert. Yeah, that was the Panzer III-4. Nimbus is not going to have a particularly good game at the start of this match, which is what makes... I'm venturing into spoiler territory here, but it's going to make... I'm not going to... Well, it's not exactly a disastrous start to the game, but it could have gone a hell of a lot better, as you'll see when he makes his way into the town up ahead here on the Live Oaks map. In fact, at the time I was watching this replay, the way the match started off, I was thinking, what the hell did I get sent this replay for? I mean, this is bad. Don't worry, the KV2 never disappoints. Oh, I love this tank. I mean, it's completely broken and overpowered, of course, but I still love this tank. It's... Nimbus has actually got some armour piercing loaded. You see that? He's got 2 rounds of armour piercing. Nimbus, didn't you get the memo? The KV2 does not use armour piercing. What are you doing? Actually, Jingles, under the correct circumstances, I think you'll find that armour-piercing ammunition fired from the 152mm howitzer can act... Yeah, alright, yeah, I know, but it's just... High explosive is more fun. Oh, yeah, here we go. Mistake number 1. I mean, seriously, the KV-85 had just been fired upon by the OI experimental, so he is clearly pre-aimed on the corner and just waiting. And then, of course, he missed his return shot, and then he takes another one in the face from another KV-85. So Nimbus is now a one-shot kill for either of those KV-85s, and that guy doesn't appear to realise that this is a 152mm howitzer. Side scraping ain't going to work, it's high explosive. But once again, Nimbus misses the shot. Not a fantastic start to the game in any tank. He's got less than 300 health remaining, and he hasn't done a single point of damage to the enemy team so far. Actually, Jingles, reverse side scraping a KV-85 around a corner like that against a KV-2's 152mm howitzer is actually not such a bad idea after all, because there's an excellent chance that the shot is merely going to be absorbed by the tracks and do no damage. Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. I have actually seen that happen on more than one occasion. But that happens too. So, nah. You can take your actually Jingles and stick it where the sun don't shine. Right, the OI experimental has obviously had enough, so he pulls back to give him a chance to get clear. And the gun is now reloaded. Nimbus is angling there to make the most of his armour if that KV-85 pops out for another shot. But if he is going to pop out, he's taking his time about it, so rather than sit here just pointing his gun at an empty corner, he goes looking for something else to shoot at, as there's certainly plenty to shoot at around here. Who's first? KV-85, T14, T25? Yep. Scratch one T25. And before he has a chance to celebrate, hit once by the Churchill 3, hit twice, and now he's a one-shot kill, so naturally the next shot goes into his tracks, the next shot bounces, 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 the next shot bounces. And that Churchill 3 is probably writing a very, very sternly worded letter of complaint to his Member of Parliament. As we speak. Oh, hold on. Shit. Shit. Oh wait, no, we've reloaded. It's fine. Scratch one KV-85. Oh no, T14. And he bounces. Hellcat, who donks the shot right off the turret of the dead KV-85. And the T14 bounced another shot. Can he reload and shoot him through the gap? Nope, he can't, but he bounces another shot from the T14 as the Hellcat comes around the corner, but oh, hold on. We've reloaded. Everything is fine. Don't panic. This is why we play the KV-2. But surely that T14 is going to come around and get him while he's reloading. Well, it looks like he's trying, but he's not in any particular rush about it. And Nimbus has reloaded. And so the T14, anxious not to suffer the same fate as most of the rest of his team, falls back. Ah, friendly artillery. Thank you very much, don't mind if we do. Cool tanks do not look at explosions. Artie takes out the T14. KV-85, hearing the sound of the explosion. And perhaps thinking, haha, KV-2 has just fired. No. That was in fact artillery. And now you're dead too. And as quickly as that, the only thing remaining on the enemy team is the M44 artillery. But, well, it's artillery. He's going to be camping the back of the map. I mean, we're never going to find him. So Nimbus just stops to thank artillery for saving his ass there. And you've got to be kidding. Really? Nimbus would like to thank the enemy artillery, without whom that Top Gun would not have been possible. And that, boys and girls, is why we KV-2. Remember, there's nothing wrong with it, as long as you shower thoroughly afterwards. And that's it for this episode of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.